Okay, once we got the mobile home put in and settled, and I think I made the skirting. No, that was later.
That was later.
And then I had to go to Chicago to be a part of the extension's training for the next year's volunteers. And it was at least 5 weeks, if not longer, that we met at the University of Chicago campus, where we trained the next 500 volunteers in the summer to go to their assignments in late August. That being done about the first week in August, then the extension provided me with a brand new automobile, a light green Ford four-door 500. It had 6 miles on the odometer. I jumped in at the Ford dealer, which was downtown Chicago, and I got on Highway US 54, and I drove to El Paso with one night stop for 6 or 8 hours in Fort Smith, Arkansas, for a little quick nap. Because my sweet mama was getting very anxious.
Yes,
and
my time is coming near.
So how long were you over there?
In Chicago?
Yeah.
It was 5 or 6 weeks, and she's very pregnant.
So after you moved to El Paso, and you moved into the trailer park
Yes.
in a brand new mobile home,
Yes,
and you only knew a few people here,
very few.
very few. You took off for a month and a half, and you stayed by yourself, pregnant with John.
Yes. Oh.
And you were driving the Volkswagen bus?
Yes, yes, I was.
But we had a few friends by then.
And
Yeah,
were you nervous about that, or?
I don't have any remembrance of being nervous, but probably scared to death is more like it. No, but being here without family was a little interesting. I wasn't really close, real close to my family back home, so it was like meeting new people. They kind of became your family because the Ivy family, especially Joanne, she was here without her family as well. So we had that connection since she was a volunteer as well in the schools. So we had a little bit of connection there, and that was probably my support group while Papa was traveling. But he did come home in time for John's birth, right?
Yes, we made it.
He made it. John was born on August 25th, 1967.
Yeah,
At Southwestern General Hospital at the time, downtown.
the doctor
Downtown.
was?
Dr. Budwick was my doctor, and he was very good. We did well. Not sure how long. I think it was like almost a half a day where I labored for John.
Was it a challenging pregnancy? Was it easy? Was it what you expected? or-
Actually, it was. I was very healthy. It seemed. The birth was normal, thank God, and it was okay. It was just long because it was my first one, so it was kind of.
Did you feel like you were like pregnant forever?
Yes, not pregnant forever, but I felt like I was in labor forever. But no, it was fine. And he was born. He was so sweet.
Do you remember going to the hospital, or like when you went into labor, or?
I remember going into labor, and it was. But I was out. They put me out to. I didn't have a natural childbirth here. It was. I was very well sedated. So sorry, that's just the way it was. And I wasn't that brave to have natural childbirth. But anyway, he came, and it was wonderful, and he was a darling little boy, and. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was our first son, and
Then we had a baptism,
oh yeah, of course.
and the sponsors were?
Actually, it was Darlene and Joe Rubio, and since we knew them more than anybody else at the time here, and so it was very sweet. We went. Our Lady of the Valley was our church, and that's where we developed friendships and kind of grew as a family.
How did you feel, Dad, that you had a brand new baby boy?
Well, it kind of sealed the future. We know we were going to be family, not something else. Yeah. The work at Extension would require that I be gone for periods of time.
Yes.
So if I had a road trip or if I had to fly, if I flew, I was probably away 4 or 5 days. If I drive, it might be more than a week. So she would be alone again. So friends are really important for Jerry.
But I do remember that in the first couple of months, your Tanti Dora came down and stayed. She must have stayed for a couple of weeks. So she wanted to just be with me and help me, which was really sweet of her. I mean,
My father's sister,
yes, Tanti Dora.
unmarried. She came down and spent time.
She was very helpful. She helped. Well, she did cooking, and she also taught me how to darn socks. I'll never forget that. It was so cute of her. I had some socks, because we used to darn socks way back when.
You didn't buy more.
No, we didn't buy. So she told me how to put the light bulb, a small light bulb, in the heel of the sock, and it was a weaving pattern that she showed me, just like you would weave in and out and in and out, and it was very cool. And I learned how to darn socks. I was so excited. But she was very sweet. We enjoyed that. And then, of course, your mom, she came. I think she came that Christmas, in fact.
Yeah.
And
That was her first visit.
yeah, it was at her first, and that was wonderful
Because
to have
nobody
your
visited
mom.
you guys in Marathon.
No,
So
no.
it was just in El Paso.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It was
See, at
wonderful.
that time because we had 3 bedrooms in that trailer, we kept Johnny in the little room, and we had the front bedroom, which was nice for visitors.
How did it feel living in that mobile home? Did you feel like it was a nice home?
Yes, it was comfortable. It was all we needed at the
It
time.
was 14 feet wide.
Yeah, and it was very workable. I loved it, and we had a washer and dryer in our little bathroom, and then the front bedroom where eventually Johnny was, it had his own bathroom, so that was exciting. So
And we had some nice neighbors.
yeah, we have really nice neighbors.
Some, same age, same situation with young people.
Yeah. So it was fun growing up there. That's where Johnny learned how to swim, incidentally.
Yeah.
And, as he grew older and graduated from high school, he joined the Coast Guard. And I'm wondering if that swimming pool had any effect on him. Because he took to the water like a fish, and he was great. And I don't know, maybe.
How was he as a baby?
How was Johnny as a baby? He was good. He cried normally. We did everything we did to nurture him, and he was a good baby. I don't remember any issues. The only time I remember once is when I was feeding him carrots for the first time. He did not like his carrots. And the mouthful I put in, he spit right out. All over his beautiful little shirt. I'll never forget that. That was cute. I think he likes carrots now, though.
Now, one thing that John had going for him was that every Mexican lady that saw him
Oh.
melted because he was so cute
Oh,
with his
yes.
blue eyes and big smile.
And blonde hair.
Oh,
Oh my gosh. All our kids
all
were
of our kids were.
so good looking. I'm sorry, but they were. We always got compliments with our children. And Johnny, when we went to church and everything, he was the first. And oh yeah, people would just admire how cute he was.
I have a memory of there being some leg braces.
Oh yes, he did have a little issue with one of his foot. One of his foot was kind of turned in, and so to correct that, they did give him a little. It was more of a foot brace. I don't know if it was a leg brace. It was more.
Well, it came up to here.
Did it come that high? Okay, so he
And
wore that like he wasn't.
Put pressure on it that way.
I'm thinking he was about 2, wasn't he? 2 or 3 in that age. It was about 2, I think. And in fact, the last time he visited, I think I gave him his little foot. I think I said, "Hey, would you like this? Do you remember this?" And he started laughing. It was funny. Yeah, he did wear that for a while. So other than that, outside of him He didn't break any bones except in that motorcycle accident. The dirt bike episode.
Yeah, speaking of, did you guys get him a bike when he was a little bit older?
Oh yeah, he had a bike.
Yeah, a bike
of
with
course.
training wheels.
Yeah.
In fact,
Oh,
what was the
yeah.
snowstorm?
The snowstorm.
He got a 20-inch bicycle, and it snowed 8 inches. And he couldn't go out and ride it.
I remember one time we used to go back to Ohio like every
Other year,
other year or so. When he and Susie went back, I guess he was about 6 and she was about 4 maybe. My dad made him a little vehicle, a little car out of wood. He made it out of wood. What kind was it? What kind of engine? Was it just a battery?
no engine.
It just, how did he?
Push it.
You pushed it? Was it a pedal type thing?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. But that was so cute because we had pictures of him riding his little car on Albert Lee Avenue.
I've got pictures somewhere of the car on the roof of the 58 Ford station wagon.
Oh,
So you would drive back home,
yes.
and then you brought back stuff all the time?
Yeah,
Well-
one time, we bought a car on the west side of town just to drive home, and when we got back, we sold it.
Was that the Ford?
Yeah, the Ford
Oh, you-
station wagon.
Yeah.
You,
oh, yeah.
you
With
bought a
a-
car in Ohio, drove home, and then you sold
No,
the
no, we
car?
bought a car here
Oh, uh-huh.
from the west side, nice family, with a 390 in it, and we couldn't afford to keep it. It was just gasoline, but it was comfortable and it was air conditioned.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And we drove all the way, made it comfortable, and it had a roof rack on top. That's where I strapped the little car.
But growing here in the area where we lived, eventually moving. Oh, I guess that's another story because that's when Jimmy comes along. We'll talk about that in the next video. But anyway, no, John was a sweet baby. He's very sweet. Everybody loved him. He was a little doll, and what can I say? The first son I guess has a special place in your heart, huh? In our heart. So, John's growing up a little bit, and when he was 5 years old, I decided that he needed to go to kindergarten. And there was a Christian school on North Loop. I think it was called North Loop Baptist at the time. And I enrolled him in kindergarten. And he was not happy. I wanted him to be around more children his age. I wanted him to, learn how to adapt to other children and communicate. But he was not a happy camper. I remember him just looking at me, crying. And it was, oh my gosh, it was so hard to leave him. But I knew it was because it was something that would be positive for him. So he did it. He plowed through that kindergarten year. But actually, he did really well. So when he was old enough to go to regular school, we enrolled him in Our Lady of the Valley, I guess, for his first grade at Our Lady of the Valley. And we were very adamant about getting the children in Catholic schools. We just thought at that time they were run by sisters, by nuns, and it was a very good program, and we felt really confident that they would be in an area where they're not only learning their ABCs but also their faith, a little bit of their faith. And he did really well there too. There was a time where when you started at Weaver, you started Weaver here, Weaver Scopes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you did some traveling, but John was a little bit too young for
He
traveling.
couldn't take any advantage.
Yeah, until he was a little older.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you start at Weaver while you were still in the mobile home park? or-
Yes.
Yes.
And those were hard years at Weaver because they had just come off a big strike, and we had a mixed bag of employees, strike breakers and strikers. And there were people that knew the job real well, and they had people that didn't know the job real well. And so management was really roll up your sleeves and get in and say, this is how you do it. And so I was probably pretty valuable to Weaver because I understood manufacturing ways, not just the machinery, but what connects them in a flow of material. And because I was good that way, it's probably why they hired me. But we were hired, myself and Larry Shaw were hired right on the first week of the strike, because Mr. Weaver was not going to stand for insubordinate employees. Even though they were already on the gravy trade working at Weaver.
Oh, but John, as he was growing up, he was just a regular boy, a normal boy, loved cars and trucks and little, would they have Legos back then? I don't know if they had Legos
No,
back then.
well, we had a
They had a
sandbox.
yes.
We had a sandbox
Oh, yes,
at
the
the trailer
sandbox.
park, and he had the customary assortment of Tonka trucks.
Yes, he did. I remember that.
And he had a neighbor boy down the street.
Did you make that sandbox?
Sure, of course I did.
Yeah, he made the sandbox for John, and that was fun. We had a cute little yard, enough to,
And a little fence around it.
yeah, a little fence around, so it
And there
was
was a
cute.
neighbor a couple doors down that had a boy almost the same age.
Uh-huh.
And they came down and they played together in the sandbox or hit each other with the shovels, whichever the kids would do.
We had a wonderful family called the Drapers, and they had children about the age of our first two. So they had fun. Thank goodness, because they were in the military, and wonderful family.
From Florida.
Yes, from Florida. So it was so nice to have someone our age, and
Almost
that-
exactly the same
age
years, yeah.
as John.
And they had a
Susie.
Volkswagen bus. A camper, a real camper.
Remember the time we took that Volkswagen bus to Mexico, to Delicious?
With the Drapers,
And
two
our-
Volkswagen buses, we drove past Chihuahua City,
Did you
down to a
believe it?
place called Delicias. And they were on there, there was a big dam where the Rio Concho was dammed up. And land was entirely owned by a general in the Mexican army. And Mr. Draper, who was in the medical part of the army, got to know this general somewhere at some big meeting. And he gave him his card and said, anytime you want to go fishing, come on down to my place. So Skip had no idea what his place was. It was about 5,000 acres surrounding a 13-mile-long lake, his place.
So we went fishing with little Johnny,
Little Susie.
and I think Dwayne was the other boy,
Yeah.
Dwayne Draper, and,
And the
caught
other-
caught black bass, wasn't
Black bass and big mouth bass.
Oh
and
my gosh!
We ate with butter and bass every day.
What did we sleep in the tent? Did we have a tent at the time?
We had a tent plus
Yeah.
the buses.
yeah, the buses. So it was.
And the kids, there was a little pool right where we camped, where the water from the lake had come in, and it was all white sand in there. And those little kids are sitting down there playing in the water and the sand,
not worrying about anything around us. I mean,
Four blonde, blue-eyed kids sitting in the
middle of
in the middle of the water. Yeah, in the
Oh.
middle of Mexico.
couldn't do that
And we were there
today.
4 days and saw one human being.
Yeah, so that was
And he was
great.
a shepherd. And the sheep came over the hill, there he was, and then he went away. But that's the only contact we had with humanity. But we had all day long soaring eagles. And it was peaceful, and it was...
It
What
was.
did you think about being in Mexico?
Well, we just thought that's what you do. I mean, it was no problem crossing the border way back when.
And Skip had a boat, aluminum
Yeah.
boat. And we went out on the lake and we fished.
Yeah,
So
so
is
it,
that the first time John was on a boat?
Oh,
Probably,
yeah. Yes,
yes.
And he would have been like 5?
he would have been maybe four, about four.
Yeah. about
Well,
four.
we had Susie too, and she must have been
She's 2 years
2
younger,
years
so-
younger.
Mhm.
So she would have been 2, maybe. That
That's
was about right.
About right,
That
yeah.
was about right. Yeah,
What an adventure.
I know.
And then
Too
we...
bad we didn't, do we have any pictures of that? I don't
Yes,
think
we do. We have
somewhere.
slides.
We do have slides. We'll have to
Yeah.
get those out.
And then we went to that Mass and Delicious before we went back to El Paso, and they had this brand new concrete church. I mean, it was concrete. It was huge. It would hold 1,000 people standing, and it was something else. To be in with all those people in that little town with this concrete church, and it was wonderful. They had 3 priests up on an altar, up on a podium, it was wonderful, all modern.
One of the things about being young is kind of like you're naive about a lot of things. I was definitely naive about a lot of things. But it was really a very interesting experience, and it was a blessing, really, that God would put us in that place at that time with those people and the opportunities that presented itself. So it was wonderful.
You did a lot of camping and sightseeing and stuff.
Yeah, we actually did. Yeah, we did. We did some camping with the Ivies too, a couple of times, right? I remember we took Johnny and Susie. I don't know if you were with us then when we went to Albuquerque to the balloon festival. Do you remember that?
Well, I had been later, but I'm
Yeah.
sure you guys went first.
Yeah, we went with Johnny and Susie to Albuquerque Balloon Festival, and it was so
When-
cold.
When we were in Marathon yet, at Christmas time, we decided, it was a few weeks we had off in January,
Oh,
we took the bus to the West Coast. We went to San Diego.
oh, I remember
We
that.
stayed
yes.
in the hotel on the beach in
Yes.
San Diego.
Yes, we
And
did.
Then we decided to drive up to Lone Pine, California.
California?
And then we decided, remember the business about the road and the next hill? We decided to take a road up to Seamount Whitney. So when we got as far as the snow line, and the bus couldn't manage it any further. This is still with the little 4-cylinder engine. It couldn't go any further in 6 inches of snow on the highway. We decided to let the dog out and run around and then go back down the hill. But that was Lone Pine, California. And we camped at the edge of Mono Lake, which is that salt lake with all the crazy figures that come out of it. And then we went to Las Vegas, and we stayed at a rundown, beat-up motel, and we drove around and went to Mass there, and then we
He
drove,
remembers so much more than I
and
do.
we drove all the way home to Marathon, and when we got home, we had 50 cents.
Oh, yeah, that's about it. I remember that one.
Well, you budgeted well then.
Yes. And we decided we can't stay anywhere. We're going to keep on going.
One of the stipends they would give you in extension was $50 a month.
That was our pay
That was what we received. So,
each.
Yeah, so that was really
So you guys were
good.
basically living off of $100 a month.
A month.
Of
But, of
cash,
course,
but we
the
had the housing,
house provided, the food
and
was
the
provided.
parish
and-
provided the food,
yeah,
the
so
food stuff,
we just had to do the gas, right? Gasoline.
and repairs. But
yeah.
we had such wonderful men at these 3 garages in Marathon. They would bend over backwards to give us gas and service the car. It was really, really neat. And sometime we got to put on tape our trips to Mexico from Marathon. The adventures on business. Taking the sacraments to places that didn't have electricity.
Oh, yeah, that's fun.